Welcome back to another geography lesson. Today we're going to continue with the Mapwork section. Now, very importantly, before we're going to continue with the section, you need some stationery to continue and be able to do the questions. First of all, you're going to need your protractor, you're going to need your calculator, and you're going to need your ruler. Now, the previous lesson, we looked at distance and how to calculate distance. Now, I need to revise this topic quickly with you because the formulas that we use to calculate distance, we're going to use again by determining area and gradient. So if you quickly go to our map of pole, if you want to calculate distance, let's say from spot height 658 to the reservoir over there, what do we need to do? This is a topographical map. We know the scale is 1 to 50,000. And if I want to calculate my answer in kilometers, I take my ruler, I measure the distance between the two areas. It's 17.3 centimeters. And because I want my answer in kilometers, I times it with 0.5. And my answer will be 17.3 times 0.5, and my correct answer will be 8.65 kilometers. If I want my answer in meters, what's going to be different? The centimeters is going to be exactly the same. You measure the distance between the two areas, spot height 658 and the reservoir. So it's 17.3 times 500. And you use your calculator once again. It's 17.3 times 500. And you got your answer in meters. So the formula that we use once we work over 1 to 50,000 topographical map, for kilometers is 0.5 and meters is 500. And we also looked at orthophotos. Quickly have a look at it in a second. I just want to erase the information over here because we're going to use this map again. Now, once we look at an orthophoto, as you can see, it's got a different scale. As you can see, the scale is 1 to 10,000. So the formula that we're going to use is a bit different. So let's say, for instance, we had to measure the distance between 8 and 7. So let's say, for instance, we measure the distance between 8 and 7. It's 11.4 centimeters. So let's just quickly go and calculate it from the orthophoto. Orthophoto scale is 1 to 10,000. The distance between 7 and 8 was 11.4 centimeters. So what do we do? If I want my answer in meters, I take the 11.4 and I times it with 100. Quickly look at our calculator. 11.4 times 100, and the correct answer is 1140 meters, 1,140 meters. If I want my answer in kilometers, keep in mind the scale is 1 to 10,000. Same principle. Take your centimeters that you measured with your ruler, you times it with 0.1, and just quickly go and calculate it on our calculator. 11.4 times 0.1, and our correct answer is 1.14 kilometers. Now this is very important, and in today's lesson we're going to continue using these formulas to calculate distance. And what we discussed yesterday as well is quite important for me. We looked at direction. Now it doesn't matter what instead of map you use, north will always be on top of the map east on the right hand side, south on the bottom, east on the left hand side. And the simple steps that you need to follow: draw your north-south line, draw a line from where and to. Two simple steps. So if I ask you to determine the direction from the reservoir to spot site 649, so first of all, draw a north-south line, draw a line from where and to, and there's your north, south, and that's probably going to be northwest. Very important to be able to determine your direction. Let's just quickly remove this with the eraser and continue with today's topic. Now, if we quickly look at area, area is the amount of surface a two-dimensional shape covers. Now, you've done area before in mathematics, and the formula is the length and the breadth. Now, how do we calculate it? We calculate it to find out how much land is covered. It can be because of crop farming, cultivated land such as maize farming, or the calculated land to see what's been built on. Now, if you look at area, first of all, area consists of a formula, length times breadth. In this case, if we quickly continue to the next slide, a couple of steps that we need to go and look at. The first step, measure the length in centimeters and convert it to kilometers or meters. Now, the question will stipulate if they want your answer in square kilometers or in square meters. And your second step, measure the breadth in centimeters and convert it to kilometers or meters. Same procedure as step 1. And then you apply the two to the formula, area equals length times breadth. And lastly, write the answer in square kilometers or square meters. For instance, I'm quickly going to give you an example just from the page over here. Just one another. If I ask you to calculate the area of this block over here, now very importantly, this is your length, this is your breadth, and let's say for instance this square that we see over here is on a 1 to 50,000 map. Now, to get the correct answer in meters, what do we times the measurement with? 500. If I want to get correct measurement for kilometers, I times it with 0.5. So once again, you use your ruler. You can see the length is 19.5 centimeters. If you look at the breadth over here, we measure the breadth over there at 7.5 centimeters. And let's quickly go and do the calculation. Now keep in mind, this area that we measure is on a 1 to 50 topographical map. So first of all, area equals length times breadth. So it's 19.5 centimeters. If I want my answer in square kilometers, what do I times it with? 0.5 times 7.5 times 0.5. Quickly go and use our calculator. 19.5 times 0.5 equals 9.75 times 7.5 times 0.5 equals 3,75. So what we basically just did now, we took our length and times it with 0,5 because we're working off the topographical map. We took our breadth and we times it with 0,5 because we're working off the topographical map. You got your two answers, and now if you look at the formula, you times it with one another, and we're saying 9,75 times 3.75, and the correct answer over here is 36,5. And what will the answer be expressed in? In square kilometers. If the question stated, calculate the area of this block on the topographical map, but give your answer in square meters, what will change? Just the formula that we use when we measure the length and the breadth. So in this case it will be 500 over there and 500 over there, and eventually our answer will be expressed in meters. So let's just quickly calculate it. If the answer was asked for square meters, it's 19.5 times 500. That gives me 9,750 times 7.5 times 500 gives me 3,750. So be times the 9,750 with the 3,750, and we will get an answer of 36,650 square meters. Okay, so that will happen if it's on a topographical map. If we continue to our next slide completely, the question will state, and I'm going to give you two examples and a very popular example of area that's being asked in your final question paper, is to calculate the area of, let's say, this grid situated over there. Now once again, what do you know about area? The formula is length, area. Once again, if you look at the formula of area, it's length times breadth, as you can see. So the question will state, calculate the area of this grid over there. Now first of all, you go and calculate your length. As you can see, it's 9,5 centimeters. Let's just go to the bottom of the page. Area equals length times breadth, and we calculated length. It's 9,5. Because this is a topographical map, what's the formula that we're going to use for meters? 500. What's the formula that we're going to use for kilometers? 0,5. So let's assume they asked a question for square kilometers. So we take the 9,5 times it with 0,5. We go back. We measure the breadth over here. And as you can see, that's 8 centimeters. So it's 8 centimeters times 0,5. If we quickly go back up, just to make 100% sure, you place your ruler alongside the line, and there you can see 8 centimeters of the grid. That's how wide it is. And then we go back to our calculator. First of all, you calculate first your length, and then your breadth, and then you're going to calculate both of them with one another. So 1.5 times 0.5 equals 4.75. And then if you quickly look at how wide it is, 8 centimeters times 0.5, that gives me 4. And once you've calculated length and the breadth with the formula for topographical map, you calculate them with one another. So it's 4.75 times 4, and that gives us 19 square kilometers. So in fact, this whole area where this grid is situated is 19 square kilometers. After the break, we're going to continue with area. Just stay tuned. See you in a bit.